closing round of the championship, not only for the South African National Motocross, but also for Northern regions, which means we're going to wrap up shop for 2025 out here at Terra Topia. Every single championship, bar one, is still on the line. It's going to be a banger day out here in Gauteng.
2 days before the event, prime conditions. The track was ripped up and ready to rock and roll. We'll focus in on the high school 125s and the MX2s. First up, 125s, where Trey Cox is trying to nail down shop and keep that #1 plate. The Yummy boys have been coming on strong this season though. It's going to be fun to see what goes down. Valsecki, a bit of a track specialist at this circuit as well, but all eyes are going to be on Cox on the factory KTM. Out of the gate, it was Tristan Durow in those classic colors that he's been running the last couple of seasons. A wild inside-outside gate, real muddy. So everyone was making all kinds of mistakes in the early laps until everyone figured things out. Durow and Thor Johnson went down off camera, blowing things wide open in the early laps. It did take a while for the race to find its groove. Venter was able to run off the front with Durow doing the big chase back. He was dead last along with Johnson. And those two riders did an amazing job to get themselves back to run inside of the top 10. Eventually, it was Valsecki that did take over the lead and run the numbers out front. Venter was having issues on his machine with Durow and the rest of the chasing pack coming on through. Cox had also not had a perfect run off the gate, which is standard option for him on heat race #1. And Dad was looking nervously on. Alfie Cox staring at the points and the lap times to understand what was going to go down. Cox came on good at the end, and thankfully mistakes for Valsecki meant that Cox had done enough to wrap up his championship at the end of heat race #1. All the pressure was lifted and he could just ride on out and have fun.
Back-to-back 125 try, yeah?
It's been a long year, putting in a lot of effort, so yeah, I'm really happy it happened today. Wrapping up with the moto early is also really cool. Just shows that, yeah, I have had quite a dominant season. It's been good. I think I've won 6 out of the 8 nationals so far, so it's been really good. So I couldn't be happier. Thank you to my team. My dad, my bike is always 100%. You can hear this bad boy singing all the time. So I couldn't be happier. My coach, he puts a lot of effort into me. So yeah, Daryl Fitzgerald, he does my physical training side. He's helped me a lot this year, and muscles on for sure.
Congrats, my bro.
So Cox retains his #1 plate by taking the overall at the final round. Valsecki, you showed good form, and Durow an amazing fight back ride on the day to eventually walk away with the #3. That was high school 125s. Next up, MX2s. Big story in the championship was going to be the fact that Grundy had a strong lead. Not an insurmountable lead, but a very big lead on the 450. For the day, he would just have to stay out of trouble. The reigning champ, the big #1 plate, took the whole shot. Cam Durow getting the clear air with Van Veek alongside him, even though he washed out a little bit on turn #1 and would have to recover. 1 or 2 riders went down in the mud bog on the inside line. And it was Marriott who would actually pop out early on and see clear air with Durow on his wheel. Grundy was staying out of trouble, well outside of the top 6 mix. And Cox, who was also running inside the top 3 for the championship, was a little bit late on the gate this time. Van Veek, as always on the 747, ran great numbers in the early stages. Durow had one small mistake on the day though. Got jammed up in one of the mud bogs and would have to do the big fight back. Himself and Cox would come through traffic nicely together. And eventually, 1, 2, and 3 in the championship were joined on the track, running 2, 3, and 4. Out front, Marriott would eventually find a wall as the rest of the chasing pack discovered just how deep the TT track had been ripped up in the week building up to the race. Durow did an amazing job to get himself up there, firstly getting through on Marriott and then Van Veek to see clear air after what looked like was going to be a big problem for him on the day. Some of the chasing pack was starting to make all kinds of shapes, and Marriott was going backwards quickly as he had problems on his machine. At the flag though, it was Duro that would come through and improve on his championship positions. Heat number 2 would be gnarly. This is where the championship was going to get locked up as well. The whole shot would once go and see the big number 1 plate. This time around, Dalton Venter, who had started to run good numbers late on in heat number 1, joined Duro and Van Beek as those top 3 runners went out the gates. Big story though was a pile-up. Mark Cardi on the 24 and the championship points leader Grundy was going to have to do the big fight back. Venter was also there as well. Would have to show some early, very strong pace to get himself back into the mix. The usual contenders were up front, and this time finally joined by the big Yamaha. Took him a long time to come back to life, but Jaden Proctor found his gate on the second heat of running on the MX2s. It was all about the number 1 plate putting on the big show, and he would have to hand over that number 1 plate come the end of this racing heat. Marriott had kind of solved the problems that he had early on in heat race number 1. The battle for 4th place was between Marriott and Cox, as Grundy simply stayed out of trouble. He did the fight back and would eventually break his way inside of the top 10. That would be enough for him to wrap up his championship. Remember, a former high school 1-5 champion, so he knows what to do when it comes to the long championship game. Van Beek had a real good second half of the season and a good second half as well. Dalton Venter was amazing on the comeback trail as well as he started to climb the ladder, but all eyes were keeping an eye on Grundy to see how the 450 was going to do. Inside the top 10 and enough to blow the thing up and wrap up the championship. A high school 1-5 champion and now an MX2 champion in 2025. Grundy is the man.
MX2 National Champion 2025, eh? Congratulations.
Hey, this is a dream come true for me. Back when I was young, I didn't even thought of here, but here I am. Just a huge shout out to Red Bull K Team South Africa and just everyone behind the scenes involved. It takes a lot to get this done, and thankfully this year we got it done. I had a good few moto or rounds in the beginning of the year, which gave me quite a good cushion coming into this race. And yeah, we got it done. Fortunately, a first turn crash, but the second moto, but yeah, we managed to come back to I think about 8th. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, we got the title wrapped up, and just yeah, grateful and so thankful for everyone behind me and just everyone who supports me. I've had a lot of hate this year, but put that aside and look at the number 1 plate.
Congratulations to the number 1s on the season, and we look forward to 2026. On the day, Duro did a great job. Fenter even better in the number 2 spot with Van Beek down there. And Grundy, his number 8 on the day, wrapped up his big number 1 plate. That takes us to the end of the 2025 season. We'll see you on the gate in 2026.